you have to do is take a look at the people who spend more time complaining than acting. They talk about what's wrong, what they don't have, and how unfair life is, yet little changes. Complaining is easy. It feels like action, but it's the exact opposite. Complaining steals your energy, clouds your thinking, and slows your progress. And most people don't even realize how much it costs them until years have passed. I have seen it countless times. A man with talent, with potential, with opportunities, spends his days focusing on the weather, the economy, his boss, or traffic. He pours hours into discontent, into analyzing what's wrong, instead of what could be done. By the time he is ready to act, the day is gone and the window of opportunity is closed. Complaining doesn't fix problems. It prolongs them. It creates a fog that hides solutions and steals time that could be used to build, learn, and grow. Here's the reality. Complaining is not harmless. Every complaint is a drain on your spirit, a tax on your energy, and a subtraction from your potential. When you complain, you focus on what you cannot control instead of what you can. You give away power. You make yourself a spectator in your own life instead of a participant. And the tragedy is that most people don't recognize it. They mistake talking about problems for progress. They confuse venting for action. Let me give you an example. A woman works in a challenging office. Her coworkers frustrate her, her manager is difficult, and deadlines pile up. She spends hours each week venting, complaining about every small inconvenience. Her energy is consumed. Her focus is broken. Her ideas are delayed. Meanwhile, another employee faces the same challenges, but chooses to focus on solutions, efficiency, and communication. She moves forward, gets results, and builds credibility. The complaints never change the reality. They only slow the complainer down. Complaining is also contagious. When you complain, you influence others around you. Negativity spreads faster than optimism. A team that spends more time whining than working will see its progress stall. Leaders who complain erode morale. Friends who complain infect your energy. One persistent complainer can steal momentum from everyone in the room. Progress is not just personal, it's communal. And complaints are like thieves robbing the collective forward movement. But here's the truth. Noticing what's wrong is necessary, but complaining about it is optional. Observing a problem is constructive. Acting on it is constructive. Talking endlessly about it without action is destructive. Progress demands clarity, focus, and initiative. Complaining clouds the mind, delays decision-making, and fuels frustration instead of results. As we move through this seminar, I want you to pay attention to your own patterns. How often do you complain instead of act? How much energy do you waste analyzing what went wrong instead of creating what can go right? Because here's the hard truth. Every complaint is a small withdrawal from the bank account of your progress. And the only deposits that truly count are action, discipline, and persistence. Let's examine the nature of complaining. Most people think it's harmless, even therapeutic. They imagine that talking about problems somehow lightens the load. But here's the reality. Complaints are distractions. They take time, energy, and focus away from solutions. When you complain, you give more attention to obstacles than opportunities. You rehearse what's wrong instead of what could be right. And over time, this pattern compounds. The more you complain, the slower your progress, the more stagnant your life becomes. Consider this. Two people face the same challenge. A tight deadline at work. One complains about the workload, the unrealistic expectations, and the unfairness of the situation. The other acknowledges the difficulty, identifies what actions can be taken, and focuses on execution. By the end of the week, the complainer is exhausted and behind, while the other has advanced, learned, and even gained respect. The problem was identical, but the response made all the difference. Complaining also undermines your credibility. People notice patterns. Colleagues, friends, and leaders observe who contributes and who detracts. The constant complainer signals helplessness, lack of initiative, and a negative mindset. Even when they have talent or intelligence, the complaints drown it out. Progress is rarely about talent alone. It's about mindset, energy, and influence. And complaining erodes all three. Now, here's a paradox. Noticing problems is necessary, but complaining about them is optional. Seeing what's wrong is essential for improvement. Complaining is a choice. Every time you complain, you're choosing to focus on what you cannot control instead of what you can. You are opting to dwell in frustration rather than act. And over time, that choice compounds against you. Every complaint subtracts from your momentum. Every action adds to it. I've met people who feel justified in their complaints because life seems unfair. And yes, unfairness exists. Circumstances are rarely perfect. But progress doesn't depend on fairness. It depends on effort, adaptability, and persistence. The person who complains about unfairness invests nothing in the solution. The person who acts despite unfairness grows stronger, wiser, and more capable. Complaining prolongs defeat. Action accelerates victory. One more observation. Complaints tend to be habitual. They start small, a sigh, a comment, a grumble. But over time, they form a pattern, a lens through which life is interpreted. And when you live in that lens, you see more reasons to complain, more obstacles, more frustration. Your mind becomes a complaint engine, fueling itself with imagined grievances and exaggerated difficulties. Habitual complaining is slow-motion sabotage of your own life. So the first step in stopping complaints is awareness. Watch your words, watch your focus. Notice how often you rehearse problems instead of rehearsing solutions. Progress is rarely about luck or talent. It's about where you direct your energy. Complaints misdirect it. They feed the wrong habits, reinforce negative thinking, and slow down every goal you attempt to reach. Let's take a closer look at why complaining slows progress. Success is built on action, not words. Every moment spent complaining is a moment not spent improving, learning, or creating. Complaining gives the illusion of motion, but it's motion in place. It's energy spent rehearsing problems instead of building solutions. And over time, this habit creates a life of stagnation, where potential is wasted and opportunities pass unnoticed. Notice the patterns around you. People who achieve consistently rarely waste time complaining. They observe what isn't working, acknowledge it, and immediately ask, what can I do about it? They take responsibility for their circumstances. Complaining is rooted in avoidance. It's an attempt to shift blame or delay action. But the truth is, your results are always tied to your response, not the problem itself. Consider a business scenario. A team faces declining sales. One group complains about the economy, the market, or competitors. The other group analyzes data, refines strategies, and reaches out to customers. Who will succeed? Who will grow? The complaints don't change reality. They simply drain morale and divert attention. Progress favors the doers, not the whiners. Complaining also feeds frustration. When you dwell on what's wrong, your mind becomes a magnet for more wrongs. Small irritations feel huge. Minor setbacks feel catastrophic. Energy is consumed by negativity rather than invested in solutions. The more you complain, the more powerless you feel. The more powerless you feel, the less likely you are to act. And this cycle repeats, stealing momentum and undermining confidence. Now, here's an insight most people miss. Complaining is often about perception, not reality. Two people can experience the same challenge: tight deadlines, financial pressure, relationship difficulties. But one complains endlessly while the other focuses on solutions. The difference is mindset. Complaining is a choice. Choosing action instead of complaint rewires your response and accelerates progress. Another key point: complaints affect more than just you. They influence everyone around you. Negativity is contagious. Colleagues, family, and friends absorb it. Teams slow down. Morale drops. Leaders who complain erode trust. Influence is lost. One person's constant complaints can derail the momentum of an entire group. Progress is not only personal, it is communal. Complaints steal momentum from everyone. Here's the challenge. Notice how often you complain each day. Track it. Become brutally honest about the energy you give to what's wrong instead of what's right. Then make a conscious choice to shift that energy towards solutions, action, and learning. Even small changes compound. A single complaint replaced by deliberate action is a deposit in the account of your progress. Repeat it consistently, and the results are exponential. Finally, remember this: complaining is slow sabotage, but action is accelerated growth. Complaints cost energy, focus, and time. Action builds momentum, skill, and confidence. If you want progress, you must treat complaints as obstacles to overcome, not rights to exercise. Your words shape your life, your focus directs your energy, and your actions determine your results. Stop complaining, start acting. Think of complaining like sitting in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it gets you nowhere. You can rock all day, moving back and forth, convincing yourself there's activity, but at the end of the day, you're still in the same spot. Complaining is rocking chair energy. It feels busy, but it's empty of results. Or imagine a leaky bucket. Every complaint is a hole. You may pour in effort, knowledge, even opportunity, but if you keep complaining, the bucket never fills. Progress leaks out through the holes of negativity. You must patch the holes before you can build momentum. And the only patch is action. Small, deliberate steps toward solutions. Complaining also works like static on a radio. The signal of your goals, your plans, your vision is clear. But the more you complain, the louder the static becomes. Eventually, you can't even hear your own direction. The goals are still there, but the complaints drown them out. Static steals clarity. Complaints steal focus. Now let's apply this directly. Start by becoming conscious of your words. Every time you hear yourself complain, stop and ask, what am I avoiding? What action could I take right now instead of speaking this complaint? Replace the complaint with a step, even a small one. If you complain about time, schedule the task. If you complain about money, cut an expense or brainstorm a new way to earn. If you complain about people, decide how to communicate, resolve, or move forward. Replace the noise with motion. Here's another practical strategy. Limit your exposure to complainers. If you surround yourself with people who rehearse problems, you'll adopt their mindset. But if you spend time with those who focus on solutions, progress, and discipline, their habits will influence you. Your environment shapes your energy. Protect it carefully. And think of complaining as debt. Every complaint is borrowed energy with interest. You pay for it twice, once in wasted time and again in lost opportunity. But action is investment. Every effort compounds. Every solution attempted, even imperfectly, builds capacity and confidence. Debt drags you down. Investment lifts you up. Choose investment. Progress is built on momentum, and momentum is built on motion. Complaining is stillness disguised as motion. It robs the very fuel you need to move forward. If you want more progress, commit to fewer complaints. Trade every negative word for a constructive action. Trade every wasted minute of venting for a step, however small, toward your goals. Here's the truth. You cannot complain your way to health, wealth, relationships, or growth. You can only act your way there. Complaining delays, action delivers. The sooner you replace complaint with action, the sooner progress compounds in your favor. Now let's expose the excuses behind complaining. People say, I just need to vent. Or, if I don't complain, no one will know how bad it is. Or, I can't help it. Things are just so unfair. But let's be clear. Complaining isn't venting, it isn't informing, and it isn't inevitable. Complaining is an excuse for inaction. It's the easy path, the path of least resistance. And excuses, no matter how well worded, don't change outcomes. Progress doesn't come to the one with the best excuse. Progress comes to the one who acts despite difficulty. The world is full of people with valid reasons for failure, but it rewards those who move forward anyway. The record books don't list excuses, they record results. So here's the challenge. Cut off excuses at the root. Stop dressing up complaints as explanations. Stop giving more airtime to problems than solutions. Replace every excuse with a commitment. Instead of saying, it's too hard, say, I'll grow stronger. Instead of saying, it's not fair, say, I'll act anyway. Instead of saying, I don't have enough time, say, I'll make time for what matters. Change the script and you change the outcome. I encourage you to test your strength. Go one full day without a complaint. Then stretch it to a week. Notice how your energy shifts, how your focus sharpens, and how your results improve. It's not magic, it's discipline. You'll discover that most complaints are habits, not necessities. Break the habit and you regain control. Think about how much time is wasted in complaining. Conversations that circle the same problem, meetings that drift into negativity, days spent pointing at what's wrong instead of fixing it. Now imagine redirecting all that energy into action. What could you build? What progress could you make? How much closer could you get to your goals? The answer is enormous. The potential is staggering. Strength grows when you replace excuses with effort. Resilience grows when you refuse to let setbacks become stories of defeat. And influence grows when people see you taking responsibility instead of rehearsing problems. You become an example, a source of momentum, a person others trust to move forward. Complaining steals progress because it weakens your resolve and delays your action. The antidote is strength. Strength to see reality clearly, strength to accept responsibility, and strength to act decisively. You don't need perfection. You just need the discipline to choose strength over excuses. So here's my challenge to you. Take responsibility for every word, every thought, every reaction. Catch yourself when the complaint begins and redirect it into a commitment. Stand tall, act boldly, and let your results speak louder than any excuse ever could. Now let's widen the lens. Complaining doesn't just steal your progress in one area. It steals it everywhere. It affects your work, your relationships, your health, and your personal growth. It's universal. The pattern is the same. Where complaining increases, progress decreases. Where complaining decreases, progress accelerates. Look at work. The employee who spends hours discussing what's wrong rarely produces meaningful results. Meetings filled with complaints, slow projects. But the employee who acknowledges problems briefly and shifts straight to solutions becomes indispensable. Progress at work doesn't belong to the complainer. It belongs to the contributor. Look at relationships. Complaining creates distance. Constant criticism erodes trust. A husband who complains endlessly about small habits, or a wife who focuses only on flaws, is building walls, not bridges. Relationships grow on appreciation, communication, and shared effort, not on constant complaint. If you want stronger connections, trade complaint for gratitude and action. Look at health. Complaining about aches, energy, or diet doesn't change the body. Action does. Complaining about being tired never restores energy. Complaining about being overweight doesn't burn calories. Only consistent choices, exercise, rest, nourishment move you forward. Health ignores complaints but responds instantly to disciplined action. Look at personal growth. Complaining about lack of opportunity, lack of resources, or lack of luck keeps you small. But those who grow study, practice, and adapt. They read instead of whine. They practice instead of grumble. They learn instead of blame. Growth is built on deliberate input, not repeated complaint. Complaining crosses into finances too. People say, I never have enough money, but they don't study, budget, or create new streams of income. Complaints don't pay bills. Ideas and execution do. The principle is universal. Complaints never create. They only consume. Even in your spiritual life, complaining blocks progress. Gratitude is fuel for faith, while complaining erodes it. A grateful heart sees abundance, even in hardship. A complaining heart sees scarcity, even in plenty. Progress in the spiritual dimension demands discipline in perspective, the habit of gratitude, and the choice to look forward instead of dwelling on what's missing. So wherever you look, work, relationships, health, finances, growth, spirit, the principle holds. Complaints steal progress. They shrink possibilities. They drain energy. They make problems appear larger and solutions smaller. Action reverses the pattern. Gratitude reverses the perspective. Discipline reverses the drift. This is the power of universal principles. They don't change by circumstance. They don't bend by environment. If complaining steals progress in one area, it steals in all. And if action builds progress in one area, it builds in all. The habits you carry into one part of your life will echo in every other, which means every time you choose action over complaint, you are strengthening yourself across all dimensions. Now we reach the dividing line. Complaining or progressing, standing still or moving forward, immaturity or maturity. This is not a small decision. It is the daily choice that shapes your entire future. Think of maturity as the standard. A mature person faces challenges honestly. They acknowledge problems but refuse to dwell on them. They take responsibility. They act. An immature person rehearses complaints, blames others, and wastes time. Which side you choose determines whether your life compounds in progress or decays in frustration. And here's the countdown. Every complaint pushes your goals further away. One complaint, one delay. Another complaint, another delay. Multiply that by weeks, months, years. And suddenly the life you wanted is lost to words spoken instead of actions taken. Time is unforgiving. Complaining eats time, and time never refunds. Progress requires urgency. You cannot wait for conditions to improve before you stop complaining. You cannot wait for others to change. You cannot wait for life to be fair. You must act now, today. Every complaint left unchecked is a thief still in the room, stealing minutes, stealing focus, stealing momentum. Kick it out, shut the door, replace it with commitment. And don't fool yourself. Small complaints matter. The little grumbles, the casual negativity, the muttered frustrations. They may seem harmless, but they stack up. They set the tone for your day, your week, your year. They form a habit, a lens, a mindset. Before you know it, they define your life. Maturity means refusing to let even small complaints escape unchecked. It means guarding your words as carefully as you guard your time. So here's the standard. No more excuses. No more wasted words. No more energy spent on complaints. Replace every complaint with action. Replace every excuse with effort. Replace every delay with discipline. Maturity is measured by how quickly you shift from words to work, from noise to results, from complaint to commitment. And here is the urgency. You don't have forever. Life is short. The days are counting down. Progress delayed is progress denied. Every complaint steals time you will never get back. But every action, every step, every decision to move forward builds a life worth living. So make the choice. Stop rehearsing what's wrong. Start building what's right. Leave the noise behind. Embrace the discipline of action. Maturity is your standard. Urgency is your fuel. Progress is your reward. Complaining steals it all, unless you stop it now. This is the moment of truth. Complaining or progressing, those are the two paths. Every day you choose. Every word you speak, every thought you allow, every habit you practice puts you on one side or the other. There is no middle ground. Either complaints steal your progress or discipline builds it. Either you drift or you advance. Look at your own life with honesty. How much time has been lost to complaints? How many opportunities slipped away because you rehearsed what was wrong instead of acting on what was possible? How many relationships strained under the weight of negativity instead of being lifted by gratitude and initiative? Count the cost. It is higher than you think. Now decide. Because nothing changes until you decide. Complaining never produces change. Only action does. Only responsibility does. Only discipline does. The standard is maturity, and the time is now. Every complaint you allow is a thief you invited. Every step you take in action is a treasure you earned. Picture two futures. In one, you keep the habit of complaint. Years pass, energy drains, momentum disappears, regret grows. In the other, you cut complaints at the root. You replace them with decisive action. You build, you grow, you advance. Progress compounds, opportunities expand, and your life becomes a model of resilience and achievement. So here is the call. Stop complaining. Stop wasting time rehearsing what you don't want. Stop letting negativity write your story. Replace it all with deliberate action. Replace it with gratitude, responsibility, and persistence. Replace it with progress, because life is moving. The clock is ticking. Every complaint steals a piece of what you could have been. Don't let another day slip away. Make the shift. Close the door on complaints. Open the door to action and walk boldly into the life you were meant to build. Complaining steals your progress. Action secures it. The choice is yours, and the moment is now.